5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Betty Hollow, Ms. Kate Housley, and I'm pleased to welcome our newest member, Mr. Aaron Thomas, who will be the alternate member. Welcome. And he will also be voting tonight. I am John Goldsey, the chair. Also present are zoning administrator Mr. Rick Soros and secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the Board to the applicant.
Only one case tonight on the agenda, and case number 1608V. The address is 8000 Dairy Lane. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated. And here is the details of this case. Case 16-8V, address 8000 Dairy Lane. The zone is B3T. Mr. Michael Carruthers and Dairy Barn Art Center are the appellants. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 2310, Table B, Office Street parking requirements to have 61 parking spaces where 94 parking spaces are the minimum requirement. Mr. Sterois, I wasn't aware of the B3T, what the T stands for.
No, that's T. Michael Carruthers. That's his name.
Oh, okay. The way I have it in here, T goes with it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
That's something new for me, too.
Okay. And the way I understand, the appellants have agreed for this case to be heard with 4 members
That's
instead of the 5 regular members. Okay, you agreed to that. And my other question for the code office was, which one of the facilities on Table B was used to determine 94?
Assembly halls.
Assembly halls? Okay. Because assembly halls is by the number of the seats, I guess, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the code office?
Is that not what I did? Excuse me, hold on. What? Maybe I sit corrected here. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Okay, thank you. You're fine.
So assembly hall says 1 for each 6 seats. Okay.
I think it would be the dance halls and assembly halls where it's 1 for each 100 square feet because there aren't fixed seats.
You know, I didn't think there was
this is a mixture. This is a mixture of area, so we had to break it all down for each area.
Okay.
So we arrived at seating by adding all these items together in the plans.
Okay.
So there's some assembly area, there's some mercantile area, retail area, there's some assembly area. So we had to put all those numbers together to arrive at these numbers.
Okay, and that number is 94.
94.
Yep.
Okay,
We'll call you. Okay. Any other questions for the code office? Well, the appellant, Mr. Carruthers, would you like to go to the podium and state your case?
We actually have handouts if you...
Thank you.
I think we
Oh,
probably
we do have
this
these.
already. Yeah, including
We have
the
these
picture.
very ones.
Okay.
Okay.
Some copy.
Yeah, I don't think that.
We have
No,
this
thank
copy.
you.
We
You
have
got it?
this.
Okay.
Yeah, we have.
They don't have the letter.
Yeah,
I think we
Yeah,
have the
well,
letter.
we-
too.
Oh, you do have
We
the...
have
That one?
this,
Yeah.
the addressing the.
But thank you for
finding.
bringing those.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yes, this is the letter right here.
Yeah. And you
Can I get all the...
okay.
As stated, our goal is to...
Would you please state your name and the
Oh, sure.
address for the record, please?
My name is T. Michael Carruthers. I'm 131 West State Street. The intent is to reduce the parking, and as stated in the letter, the goal of reducing it is for several reasons. When we went to the state for a variance for sprinkler system, they granted us a variance provided that we reduce the amount of occupants within the gallery. And what we found was that reduces the number of people in the gallery by about 71%. When I did the calculation, that if I could calculate it down to that, would put us at, I believe, 51 parking spaces, and I have an additional 10. Also, our goal is to try and preserve as much of the green space around the building as possible, and we found that with 61 spaces, that's the best way to preserve. There's a huge field that we really would like to preserve. We don't want to put any parking in the front lawn if we can avoid it. And most importantly, we want to avoid demoing the herb garden that's been there for, I believe, about 30 years. Let's see. In addition, the building is actually on the National Register, and I've been working back and forth with the Ohio Historic Preservation Office to make sure that we stay within their requirements as well. And so that's part of the reason why we tried to reduce the parking too, so that we want to avoid a Walmart parking lot out behind and that's our fear, is that if we have to do 94 spaces, that it's going to become blacktop for budget reasons, and then it's going to destroy the green space of the area.
We have some questions for you, but before, if you just stay there, please. If that's the case, if they are going from 860 to 250 occupancy, do they still need this variance, or can we have some conditional permit to give to them? Because I don't see any variance to be necessary.
As far as I understand, we still need the variance.
They didn't have, before they didn't have nearly the amount of parking that it would have been required, but it was grandfathered.
Right.
So now, even with the addition that they're adding, and even with all the changes they're making to the building, they still would need more spaces than what they currently have.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's how he came to that number.
And more than they are proposing at 61.
Correct.
Because they need 94.
Correct.
They have, how many do they have now? 43, like 38 and 5 or something? Or?
I think that sounds right. 45 maybe.
Marked, we have 5 spaces marked.
Right.
And then unmarked, based on how people use the space, we found that there were 43.
Okay.
And
So
then
48 total? 5 marked?
No, 43 total.
43 total.
43
Yeah,
total.
so there were
So
38 unmarked spaces.
even with the variance, where even though they need 94 spaces because of the requirements, the request for 61 will still be more than the 43 they have, or 48 they have now.
Yeah,
So.
okay.
But the requirement for 94
Right.
doesn't take into account, I believe, the fact that the state now is saying you can only have 250 in the
No,
gallery.
our zoning doesn't have anything to do with
Okay.
state historical society
Right.
requirements.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
Now, I just like to have a little bit of the background, so in case in the future something happens in here, who owns the facility and how is it run? Sure. Please state your name and your address for the record.
I'm Jane Forrest Redfern. I'm the Executive Director of the Dairy Barn Art Center. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have a board of 19 members that are elected every year with term limits of 6 years. We are funded by our members, grants, donations, camp fees, and workshops, and our exhibition catalogs, visitors, and tours. The building itself was built in 1914, and there were no parking requirements at the time. So therefore, we weren't breaking any rules except maybe the number of cows that fit in the dairy barn. In 1978, the Dairy Barn was taken over by the Dairy Barn Art Center organization. After a year of working with the state of Ohio, they wanted to tear down the Dairy Barn, and a group of artists tried to save all of the barns and make it into an art cultural complex. Well, the state of Ohio and much discussion with the community, we only had the funds at the time to save and restore one barn. And so the state tore down the other barns and gave the dairy barn to the citizens of the Hocking Valley Arts Council. That was 38 years ago.
Okay.
And today we employ 7 full and part-time employees. We have over 30 artists that are employed on a contractual basis and teaching in 14 schools a week during the school year. We have over 60 local artists in our gallery shop, of which we provide funding from them by selling their art. And this is our biggest year ever for our summer art camp. We've never had this many children enrolled in our summer art camp. We also have spring camp and snow camp for snow days. Our exhibitions go as far as France, have been as far as Japan, and we bring artists and visitors from all over the world to our small Dairy Barn Art Center.
Okay, great. So it's not likely that maybe in 5 or 10 years this is sold to a private entity and then the variance will be transferred to that. And that's what I wanted to mention.
Well, let's see, how many years do I have until retirement? No.
Okay.
But a nonprofit organization does, have the ability to do that, but I don't think this community would allow the Dairy Barn. It's sustained it for 38 years, and we have an incredible amount of support for this project to the tune of $1.1 million in local, state dollars, as well as our members and donors throughout the region and the nation. So, my goal as director when I was hired 4 years ago was to make this a more sustainable organization.
Sure.
So if my plans continue to move forward, we are going to be here for many years. I mean,
I hope so.
The name of our campaign is Building for a Second Century.
Yeah.
So I think we're shooting for at least 100 years.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Yes, I'm actually a little bit confused about the state says you can only have 250 people. Okay, that's why you're here.
Okay.
But does that in fact mean that the gallery space itself is reduced? Because the blueprints would indicate that it will be much less gallery space than there has been before.
No, it means the occupancy, how many people we can actually have in the gallery, not reduction of gallery space.
Okay.
And that was basically, in order to develop our plans, we had to develop a fire suppression system. Okay. And because the Dairy Lane has a very small water line, we do not have the water capacity to be able to provide sufficient water for a fire suppression system. So the only way we could do our plans is to go to the state fire administrative code folks, I'm sorry, no disrespect, and ask for a variance for a fire suppression system. And so one of the caveats of that approval was that we had to reduce the number of people in the gallery to 250.
Okay.
Up until which we get an additional water, and then we have to add, and then that condition will go off.
Okay. And in a sense, you not only need spaces for the teachers and the employees, you really need parking for 250 people.
The teachers don't work on site. The teachers work out in the 5-county area.
Yeah, well, let's just leave them out. But if you open up the gallery for 250 people, you really need 250 parking spaces.
94.
Not in City of Athens. People carpool. A lot of people.
Okay, I'll take that as a good answer. Okay. Okay. Surely you're right. People wouldn't each bring a car.
You said something about 250 is the maximum until you get more water.
Right, when the city, the caveat with the Ohio Building Code regulators was that the Department of Commerce, when the city of Athens or LEAX brings a bigger water line, then the city, then we have to then go back to them and get a fire suppression system, and then theoretically that would be lifted. But most of our openings are around 200. There's very few. There may be 300 people, but they're not all in the gallery at once. They'll funnel through and go out to dinner. But when the water line, the city of Athens has not given us any timeline as far as the water line, nor has LEAX. They have to work out some kind of agreement between the two, because we're supplied by LEAX, but we're in the city of Athens, and it's been on a project on the books for many years, and it's really no way for us to know when that's going to happen. So that's why we had to ask for the variance from the state.
I got a question about the, now is that 250, is that counting the upstairs?
No, that's just the gallery space.
Just the gallery space. Do you ever have events going upstairs at the same time as a gallery opening?
Well, the art's in the gallery. Sometimes there are people that go upstairs for whatever reason.
Okay. I've attended several private events, and then they've been upstairs,
right.
And I've been in another event downstairs, and I've been in events that they had tents set up outside before.
Right.
So if we have a number of events going on, would that surpass the 250?
Well, usually when we have events, like if you were at a wedding, particularly on the upstairs, we don't rent the downstairs because we feel like that would be kind of contrary
right,
to
okay.
letting someone rent the dairy
Right.
barn for a wedding. You don't want one downstairs and upstairs. We're not like other rental facilities. So as far as that kind of thing, now we do have events where we do workshops upstairs and people will be down in the gallery.
Right.
But
Shouldn't run into no major issues.
Yeah.
Pretty much from, all right.
our biggest concern, and I don't know if you look at our property line, but we can't go on the sides of the dairy barn. That's not our property. So it's not as if we could go on the ends of the barn and go out, because that is owned by our property neighbors. So the only choice we have would be to eliminate the herb garden, which we have completely said we do not want to do that. And then the other option is to go into the hillside, which would cause a lot of problems and be counter to what we're about, and that's sustainability.
Require a lot of retaining walls.
So I'm looking at SD 1.2, which shows the parking. And so you're saying that the area here on the left is not usable for parking?
No, the line with the double dots in it is the property line.
I think she's saying over here.
Line with double dots. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by line.
You mean on the left, in the middle of the page?
Yeah, over here.
Yeah, that's can I approach?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's too many options.
Right. I know you can't.
Okay, so this is the driveway.
Yeah, right,
So
so
we
you
have
come
to
out
have clearance for the fire trucks.
Right, okay.
So we
I
couldn't
think-
do parking, and then this is 317.
Okay, but you couldn't
This
do
is
it behind
this
here?
is our big grassy area that the campers
Yeah,
use.
okay.
And it's also a big hill. This is a foundation of one of the old barns, so we would have to dig that up.
Okay.
It goes down probably,
Yep.
I don't know, 8
Well,
inches or so.
You probably wouldn't get more than 10
Right.
12 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the handicap space, would those actually be bricked in like the existing handicap space is up front by the silo? Except they're going to go on the other side now. So see where it comes out.
Yes.
So what spaces are going to be brick or solid space? I know the existing spaces in the grass.
Well, the intent is, right now there's a lot of brick where the addition is going to occur. So the goal is to take up the existing brick at the addition and then use as much brick as we possibly can to infill where you see it marked as permeable. The goal is not to have any of that permeable, just have it as brick. The permeable is only in there in the case that we run
out of bricks.
And if we do, we may ask the community to donate if possible.
So by permeable, do you mean that kind that the grass grows up
Yes.
in?
Yes.
So there will be some of that.
Well, we're theorizing that we're going to need some of it, but the goal is to use all brick if possible.
Okay. It seems like it would be desirable to use the permeable one that the grass comes up.
Mm-hmm.
No?
No. I think it'd be more desirable to have the brick because the brick has a
because you have
historic
the brick?
value. What's that?
Is that because you already have the brick?
I think it has a more historic significance and a more historic value. And if we could continue with that brick, that would be...
Okay.
Because the entrance is currently brick and the
It's all
front of the
brick.
building
Right.
is brick.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And the permeable things, it is somewhat of a tripping hazard, especially if people are dressed up for a wedding, for instance. But we're going for the next best thing to brick, and that is permeable, as opposed to blacktop or concrete.
Right.
Because I just worried about this. 'Cause I know that the handicap space where they're located now they're accessible to everybody because there's a ramp there. People can get in. That's why I was wondering with the new spaces, is it going to be a similar situation as far as? Because I see the new spaces are coming into the green space that's currently there right now. So I'm just wondering how much is still going to stay brick or concrete or permanent compared to what's there now.
All of that area,
grass.
all of that area is going to be brick,
Okay.
up into the permeable part. All of it's
Pretty
going to be
much.
brick, and then we will have ramps, accessibility ramps, going into the building as we do now. And actually, the area around the entrance will be concrete for that very reason, for accessibility.
And that's part of the area where we'll be getting some of our brick, is where we have concrete for the patio and at that entry.
Where the current rear entrance is now, next to the gift shop, that area? Like
On
in
the other
in rear?
side,
Okay.
yeah, the other side of the silo where the gallery shop entrance is.
Yes. All right.
I recall when there was the primaries and I was there, people were parking on the grass. You're going to have occasions that you're going to have a lot of people in there. So are you going to allow them to park on the grass anywhere for just a temporary basis?
Sure.
Maybe? Okay.
It doesn't hurt the grass.
Okay. So that's a possibility.
But the great thing about this is that the parking spaces are marked. People don't know how to
Right.
park at the dairy
Right.
barn.
Right.
And so when we have big events like weddings,
Right.
we actually physically have to go out there and say, park here, so that we can make use
Sure.
of our parking
Right.
area
Okay.
now. With this, they're going to be demarcated, and people will have a better sense of what the
Right.
traffic flow will be, as well as the parking spots.
Okay, and that's okay with the code office.
That's one thing we required,
Yeah,
that they would be marked.
Okay, any other questions for the appellants?
Yes, here's a space where you say you have 5 spaces, but I count 6.
Yeah, that was a typo.
It's near.
So you only have 5.
No, we have 6.
Okay.
There are 6.
Okay.
In fact,
and
the
you counted
61 is correct.
4,
Okay.
5. Yeah. It's right here.
Yes.
Any other questions? Well, I don't see anyone in here that wants to speak in opposition or in favor or in general comments, so we close the discussions from the floor. You may be seated. So let's, if there's no discussions, maybe we can make a motion and go through the findings.
I will make a motion. I move that the board grant a variance in case 1608V, 8,000 Dairy Lane from ACC 2310, Table B, off-street parking requirements, to have 61 parking spaces where 94 parking spaces are the minimum requirement.
You did say 61, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
You need a second.
Second.
Okay. So you have the motion, and we have a second. Let's go over the findings. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. I think this is a unique property.
Yes.
So that's the special circumstances.
There's nothing to compare it to in Athens.
And the back part of the building is somewhat limited to space, so they cannot expand, and it kind of clashes with the architecture, I believe. And I'm glad you guys are using bricks. Bricks are great. Anything else we can add?
Would it be any way to park, any circumstances to park on the front grass?
I was going to ask that, but
Yes.
I personally don't like to see it, but I suppose.
But yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
there for...
No, I have never seen any cars parked on the front grass in all events I've been there. But
I think it would be a shame to do that.
Yeah.
Really.
But if it come down to it, that.
But, you know, if it comes to the point that they really need the space,
The
I'm
overflow.
sure they will take care of it.
Okay.
But it's kind of I went today, it was really nice to see the grass on both
Yes.
sides.
Yes.
Well, and if we go by the statement that they've made, that if the parking for the gallery is reduced by 70 cent as the occupancy level has been reduced,
By 70%.
then it would require far fewer than we as a city are
They
asking
require,
for.
yes. I agree.
That was my question. Since it got the space, the number of people got reduced, will that reduce the parking spaces?
Well, it does according to the
Yes,
state,
yes.
but Athens doesn't always
Yeah.
go along exactly.
We could consider that, but they can't.
Right.
But would that change if they ever upgrade the water? Probably
Well,
10 years from
we
now.
don't
But
know
right.
that. We don't know
That's
that.
I don't see it happening in the next 5 to 10 years personally.
I
But
don't have any idea.
that is
Yeah, on the other hand, you know,
Yeah.
you probably know that the variances goes with the property
Right.
forever. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Practical difficulty and undue hardship because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the specific piece of property. A literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of the public purposes. And I suppose we can argue because of those special circumstances, not granting a variance will create an undue hardship which is not necessary for the purpose of this, for the achievement of the public purposes.
Well, as you said, I think it is unique in that there's no similar thing to compare it to in the vicinity. And it is simply unique in that it serves the whole community in a very particular way. So
it's good for tourism. It draws
Yeah.
people into the community too. It's good for tourism because it's drawing people in.
well,
from,
that's true too. I guess you could say that.
This is kind of unusual, but I'd like to ask you one more question. When you have tours and buses are coming in, do you have a space for them? Oh, you haven't had any?
Usually, no, we have buses. We'll have buses next summer. Usually, they just go away. I'm not sure where they go.
Okay.
But they can park up front.
Okay.
Because
that's
there's
right.
enough room between the building, to be able to park up front. And
Okay.
that's where a lot of buses will drop people off. Is they'll go all the way around and
And
then
then-
they'll come in
okay.
the front door. Because that way they're right there.
Okay.
on
There's
the-
a space in the front. there,
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
All right, thank you. Preservation of equal property rights, I'm not going to read it because, again, there is not other properties in the same vicinity that fall under this. There are some other buildings around there. What are
There
those?
Mental
are,
health,
and
the
some
mental
of-
health center is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. They're also sort of nonprofits or
Okay.
something of that size, but they're not of this size,
Okay.
for one thing, and they serve a more limited kind of clientele.
Okay. Minimum variance, I think with that occupancy reduction will make it minimum. Absence of detriment, I don't see any. You?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a harm to the other properties around. They will,
Yeah.
in fact, have more parking than they have now. So if people are already parking on somebody else's property now, perhaps that will happen less because you will have more parking than is currently available.
Has there ever been a problem in the past?
that
People parking next
Park over at,
the mental health center.
sorry?
Is it the mental health center onto the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
317. They park there on weekends, if there's a big wedding or whatever, or they don't know where to park. So they park over there. If it's during the week, during work hours, and we know that they're parking over there, we'll ask them to move their cars because 317 has to conduct business. But otherwise, we kind of have a mutual agreement that they
Right.
we use theirs. They're kind of our stepmom, or because we're good into.
Okay, thank you. Not of a general nature.
No.
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 Are we ready for voting?
Yes.
So let's get a shot of the board. All in favor of granting the variance, please raise your hand. And so you have the variance 4-0, and we only had 4 members. Thank you. You may contact the code office to do the details of what is left. Okay, this is our only case, and we have other disposition of the minutes from June 14, 2016. I read it, and I found it to be okay. See?
Agreed, yep.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of last month, June 14?
Yes, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
You can vote because you weren't here.
Okay.
So, all in favor? 3 hands. And having conducted all the business, I'm just going by Ed. And if there is no objection, we adjourn the meeting.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.